way I say it, you can't see me. It's still me. This is a Spanish dagger, yucca, whatever you want to call it, flower stalk. I got 4 of them. They're in varying levels of knot straightness. This is actually the straightest. You're not going to find any of them that are like straight. Don't let this cricket business fool you. It's not the end of the world. It's actually pretty easy to fix. These things are real light, but they're actually very resilient. They're pretty stout. They're pithy on the inside. These things have 101 uses. You can take one of these and a piece of cedar. If it's old, you can use a piece of hackberry. Elm and mesquite don't work too good because they're a little too hard. But if you can find like a pine or something like that, these things, the combustion temperature on this wood is real low. So these make a really good hand drill. You can find a big one, which there are some pretty healthy ones out there. You can find some that are 2, 3 times as big around as this. And you can actually do a bow drill on them. It's a little tricky, but you can. That's what we're going to do, is try to make arrows out of these. I've done it before, but never done it on video. I've got everything here I need to build 4 arrows. Well, I didn't bring all the feathers over here because I left them in the house. The ducks and the chickens are molting because of the heat, so they've dropped me quite a few really attractive feathers. And I've been picking them up as I found them. But what you got to do to straighten this is pretty simple. You just go to your spring or your coffee can full of water and you get it wet. Now, it's going to take a while for that to soak in. The beauty of it is, if you have a fire going, which I'm not starting one because it's 107 degrees out here right now, but you get it wet, or damp rather. We're going to have to like keep putting water on it because it's going to evaporate about as fast as I can put it on. You're going to want to take all these little flower buds off, or leaf tags, whatever they are. And they're like I say, this wood's real soft. And my experience is, you don't come down there, they'll cut off real easy like this, but then you're liable to tear fibers down the deal. They're pointing out like that. You just go behind them, put your knife down on their flat, and then shave it off. Just pop them off. You're not worried about any little knots or anything, because we've got something to fix that. And other than this little hollow grind knife here, I'm going to try to make this the only modern tool I use. Well, that and the camera. I hadn't been able to teach any of the woodpeckers around here to get in there and chisel all this stuff out on granite for me. But we'll use the camera. It's a little water. But thing about these is they're reasonably straight, they're easy to work with, and they're abundant in this part of the world, and several others actually. Now I just went out there, I'll show y'all how to harvest them. There's kind of a trick to it. You don't want this year's, and you don't want the year before last. You want last year's stalk. You kind of grab it about midway, or 6-8 inches above the deal. The stickers will be up about right here. You grab it right before your hand gets down in the ouchie part, and then you slowly wiggle it back and forth until it wants to lay over, and then you lay it down. You'll feel something kind of give it a little tug, turn loose at the bottom, and then bring it back up, turn it about half a turn, and then lay it down, and it'll just pop out. I'm gonna have to show you all that and make sure I didn't just give you all bad directions. But the reason we're taking all these off is because, well, they would be uncomfortable sliding across your hand, and they're going to cause air drag, and you don't want air drag on your arrow. That blade is like really shiny. That's another reason to have blued steel instead of this polished stainless stuff. I'm trying to be incognito, and the whole time I'm running a signal mirror at the sky. Blued steel, people. Really like this knife though for whittling. It's an excellent whittler. Not going to bore y'all with doing all of that. After you get it down to a point, sorry, something got out on me. After you get it down to a point that you've gotten, this is sandstone. It's literally a rock made out of sand. But just like you were sharpening a knife, just take and start running that across there. I didn't chisel this one down, but you'll get the concept of it. You use this as your file. I don't know if, well, I'll give you a before and after. Here's, see that end right there? See that? Real fine grit sandpaper. See the flat spot? Doesn't take much. Just sand it down. But then when you're done, this, I mean, you have a smooth, sticker-free environment for your hands. If I had a better camera, you could see, I mean, that's knocking it off really enough to where the pocket knife doesn't matter, but the pocket knife's faster, talking time-wise. Anyway, and on the straightening it, after you get it to take the water in, then you just apply pressure and stretch it. Now, if you've got a fire, you can put these in water and they'll drink it. Just drop them in there, let them set 15 to 20 minutes in the water, and they'll wick the water in pretty good. And then you can put it over the fire, same way I did that bow. Well, I used a heat gun, but then you just, while it's hot, you can straighten this stuff out really easily. But you got to be careful because there's fibers in this thing that you do not want to break. They're not as strong as the fibers that run through the leaves. But they are the same thing. They're just real fine, and they're because this is just a modified leaf. In its early stages, it doesn't taste real good, but in its early stages, it's actually, you can eat it. Not very delicious, but it's edible. Now the flowers off of it, the flowers are real good. Kind of like, tastes kind of like leaf lettuce or something. Yeah, it's straightening out already. Biggest thing, if you've got some way to put it in something that'll hold it while it dries, you're better off. But I know y'all don't want to sit here and watch me hold a stick. So we'll jump to number next while I work on this. This is something you work on while you're sitting around shooting the breeze with your friends, or the squirrel you've got in the live trap, or whatever, depending on your situation. You may be out there all by yourself or something. You need to sit around and do this, or sit around and wish you had Costco pizza. And wishing for Costco pizza in the apocalypse is just shit. When you hear all them squirrels barking up there in the tree and realize if you can get this made, you just bop the old dock foot up down. Can't eat a squirrel in a tree, but you can eat a squirrel on the ground. Now see the difference already? I got about half that bend out. That's why I'm sitting here yakking with y'all. We'll jump over to something else more interesting. Let me get set up. Those little fibers, that's the outside skin. You want that off of there. Well, cause one of them just might go in your skin when you shoot it, if you don't. And ask me if that gets hot when you're doing that. The answer is yes. Now I clarify something from earlier in the video. I never said this was a really good arrow. I never said this was going to be a good arrow. This is going to be a serviceable arrow. This is going to be an arrow that you will find in abundance. These plants replenish these every year. It will always, in my part of the world, and probably a lot of y'all's, these things will always be there. Around here you don't have to worry about rain too much. You have to worry about wind and dirt. And you have to worry about the sun and the cold. You can take these things and lash them together with their own leaves. You can collect enough of these to make a 10 or 12 foot shade mat in 15-20 minutes. And then you cut a bunch of the leaves and you tie them together. You just tie them together like Venetian blinds. Just tie them like this. Just keep going. Just leave just a 1/4 inch or whatever the knot leaves you allow, and then you just hang those from a tree. The breeze can still go through, the sun can't. You just made your own shade tree out of a bunch of weeds. People don't think you can make it in the desert. but those people had never tried to live in the desert. It's not easy. It's not impossible. The tree I'm sitting under has been living here for over 100 years. It's doing all right. Well, mostly except for where it's been broken and beaten and roasted by the sun and wind and storms and stuff. Every year I have to take the stuff the storms break off and cut it up for firewood. But it grows back more every year. It replaces what gets broke off. It's weird how that works. It's almost like God knows what He's doing. And now you can oil these a little bit whenever you get it going your way, and you don't have to worry about them coming apart so fast. Now it's important to note that I'm not trying to take all of these humps off. If you take it down to a perfectly smooth shaft where there's no little bumpily ridgy thing or whatever, you're liable to weaken the shaft so much that when you let go of the string, it's liable to snap, and that's not something you're going to want. That this knife was shiny. This one didn't break off the plant like they usually do. They usually break off real clean. That's okay. This inside, I called it pithy, but it's not really. It's like the whole stalk is hollow. For those of you who wonder why I keep that little bone, another reason you keep that little bone off the bottom of your drum, you can sharpen it and you can actually hollow this stuff out with it. It makes a pretty good little awl. I don't know what to do with it though. I could get my Swiss Army knife, I guess. They have the awl on it. But I'm supposed to do this with primitive tools. Or assuming that the only thing I have is this. And I've got to come up with an arrow to shoot a moose squirrel. So what I'll have to do is come up with a piece of that bone that I can use for an awl to haul that out. If y'all would like to see more stuff like this, let me know down in the comments. Feel free to email me. I got my email on the about me or whatever. And see what we can do. If you like what I'm doing with the channel, if you like my rants, if you like my really bad jokes all the time, go ahead and give me a sub or two. This share me with your friends. You never know where they might be strange enough that they like this kind of junk too. Yeah. God bless y'all. Y'all stay alive, don't they?